Hey, no worries. No worries at all. We apologize too, because before the countdown it worked.
Yeah, we were literally in there, and then.
All right, man.
Crazy.
Well, without further ado, let us know what's the latest with Rosslyn. You mentioned the Jersey market. You mentioned Minnesota. Let's kind of start there, and then we'll get into the history of everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting ready to launch here in Jersey with Rosslyn on our rec side. We're already in Michigan on our rec side. And then we've got some hopes of getting into Minnesota through a licensing deal. I would say we're probably a good 30 days to a month of launching here in Jersey. It's been kind of a roller coaster of up and downs of, oh yeah, we're getting ready to launch. Oh wait, no. And then just kind of pause and go. And so finally, I think we're in the last kind of runway to make it happen. I live in Jersey, so it's great for me because it's right in my backyard. And Jersey's a great market because it's a lot of people in a really small area, condensed. And quite surprisingly, running Rosslyn Direct, we've done a lot of customer development in Jersey, and it seems that there's a lot of hash consumption that goes on here.
Really?
So it's been pretty interesting. I wouldn't think that, but Jersey's kind of a pretty big market for hash consumption and like a lot of hash events and rosin, talk going on. So there's a lot of stuff happening here.
You see a lot of companies starting to go out there in New Jersey, New York, and start kind of pushing their reach out there, especially with rosin, hash, and
a lot of 710 just came to.
I saw that. That's one of what I was thinking of.
There's Rosin Tech, my friend Sam, who he has the hashery, which is literally right around the corner from my house. I think they're in the process of building their lab. They've always got good stuff. They're also in the THCA space as well. So it's been interesting. It's Michigan's a tough market, so it'll be nice to be in a market that's not so. The ground's not so hard.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this. As a fellow New Jerseyan, I was there till I was 23. What's the exit number?
Dude, I don't know. I moved here in November. My fiance's from Paramus, so whatever the Paramus exit is where I live.
Okay, so you are a transplant.
I'm from North Carolina. I lived in DC for about 12 years. I got into the cannabis space in DC through like the gifting economy that was there back in like 2017. And then I ran a delivery service that was I thought was very, very successful, and I got raided by the feds in 2022 and then got indicted 6 months later. And so all of that kind of changed, and through that process we were developing Rosslyn in the Colorado market. And so that's how Rosslyn came about. We were going through COVID. We were seeing all these kind of health scares around vapes and like people being nervous about what they were putting in their body. And we're like, this is a perfect opportunity to build a brand that sort of reaches over the line of not being so heady focused and more so like, I call it approachable hash, where it's like, this is a great, I think for a long time, especially with rigs and, torches and just the overwhelming like approach to consumption of hash was kind of nerve-wracking for a lot of people. But then the e-rigs coming on board in the last like 5 to 6 years, and obviously those have gotten better as well over the last few years.
And much more affordable.
Exactly, a lot more affordable as well. And I think we saw an opportunity to put out a product that would be more mainstream. Like rosin's going to be the future. We're not quite there yet, I don't think. I think rosin's still got a lot of education that needs to be put in place for people to understand really what it is and how it's so closely tied to consuming a flower without the combustible aspect of it. And I think vape technology has a long ways to go as well. I think there's still a lot of figuring out, how to keep the consistency and the heat of the bucket consistent so it burns evenly and you're not getting pools of rosin that don't get burned off. So so that's kind of why we started Rosslyn to begin with. It's and it's interesting because people always ask like, what does Rosslyn mean? Rosslyn is 2 words. It's technically I named it because there's a city in Virginia right outside of the DC line called Rosslyn. And I always want to get into the Rosslyn, the Virginia market, which is something we're exploring now that they're kind of changing laws there. But Rosslyn means two words. It's rise in Welsh, and then Lyn, meaning body of water. So risen from water is our mantra. And so it's like literally the hash rises from the water. That's exactly what it does. And that's sort of the kind of the backstory of just the name. We just were like, let's do something clever and play around with it.
Yeah. So this whole inception of Rosslyn was peak COVID times, 2020, you were saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I like I said, I was running a delivery service in DC. We weren't really seeing DC be super active on moving, giving an avenue to putting a legal, I shouldn't say legal, but like a fully licensed business. We were in this gray area. And so I said, well, I don't want to continue doing that. I'd like to find a way. And we had a lot of good friends, and my partner at the time was from Colorado, and he was like, let's go get a lab out there and partner with somebody. And so that's kind of how it came about. And then when I got raided, I took a step back from cannabis. Obviously, I had to. And he took the brand to Michigan under a licensing deal. And then after I got through all the legal stuff, we kind of came back together, got a license in Michigan, and then reconcepted the brand. And then Rosslyn Direct kind of was conceived through our financial partner, who has a facility down in Missouri that is hemp certified, and it's like we treat it as a fulfillment center. And we were like, listen, there's a huge opportunity in this market. Like, we're seeing Crisp and Simply Mary and all these brands that are doing really well and thriving. I said, I think there's a massive opportunity, not only from just the fact of the sales aspect, but more so the brand acquisition and the ability to build brand equity. The goal in cannabis in general, it's like there's not a lot of independent IP, right? Rosin's rosin, like it's all made with the same technology. Yeah, sure. There's genetics and there's single source strains and things like that, but overall it's basically the same IP. So it's all about brand, equity and building the story and the marketing and all of that. And so we said, well, this is a great way to reach a nationwide international presence, doing it a legal way, even if it's a loophole, for however long that period is. If it ends in November, if it ends in 2 years, or whenever that happens, we've gotten a lot more traction in our overall brand presence, which has been incredible.
Yeah, we've definitely noticed, we were just talking about this, I think, a day or two ago, how we've obviously noticed y'all online social media, but Instagram, even just this last week, I'm like, oh, they're really getting more into the community.
Yeah.
Which is like you said, accessibility to like, hey, this is meant for everybody. We don't want people to be nervous about it. Like, we love the community aspect. So what's your like long-term goal with the affiliates, right? Like as a brand owner, obviously there's the reach, but what's your vision for Instagram? Because I know it's hard to grow on Instagram too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, I've always believed that grassroots marketing is the way to start a brand. I listened to something really interesting the other day. It takes 8 years to really develop a brand, right? To really get it. And that's in any industry, whatever that industry is, beverage, clothes, whatever. It takes 8 years. And so it kind of looked at it in phases where it's like, what do I want to start with? Let's be really, really diligent about being boots on the ground and like, building a presence of me as the owner of the brand, but also the face of the brand, and really engaging with, our consumers and being able to be the forefront of the customer service. And I think a big part of really enjoy the fact that I'm not untouchable, right? I'm reachable. I'm on the Discord. I'm talking to these, our customers and our regulars every day. We're considering them a part of our family, and they're watching, this, I call it build in public. We're building this brand in public. And I think that is going to be a really big part of the Rosslyn story. But I think to sort of answer your question, we're building an ambassador program, very similar to like a Lululemon structure.
Okay.
Where we've got these kind of lower tier, 5,000 to 10,000 followers, very hyper focused on like the stay at home mom culture, that are like really into the dabs. We've just brought on a really awesome chick, Nicole Queen. She's been in the industry for a long time. She has a great presence. She's got, little ones herself. So she's not only she a good advocate, but she practiced what she preaches. She's a mom, and so it comes down to there's a lot of honesty around that, and I think that has been really awesome for us, and we're building up her platform, and she's helping build ours, and we're working on some really cool things together. And so it's finding where you fit. We did the Reddit thing. Reddit really was harsh on us. It's a hard market there. We're very grateful for the people that it was. We put it out there and we blasted it and we went really hard, and there was a lot of negative energy that came back with that.
Yeah.
And so we sort of said that's not really where we're trying to find our home.
Exactly. Classic Reddit.
We repivoted and we just said, listen, we're not here for the one-time purchase guys who are going to criticize us and then move on to the next brand. We're here for the longevity. Like, no, I'm not trying to make an extremely great hash, right? That's not the goal. I'm trying to make hash that you can consume every day and your pocketbook agrees with it.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm not here to make $100, $150 rosin. That's not the goal. The goal is to make $30 rosin that is good, that does what it needs to do, and you're going to get all the great effects of it, and it's going to be ever changing, and we're going to constantly be evolving. But I'm not trying to like drain your pocketbook so you're not purchasing, when you need to purchase.
Absolutely.
You need your we could call it medicine, I guess is a good way of putting it. Like, you're not tied to saying, well, I have to fork out $60 every time I buy this. Yes, I could splurge. There's options to splurge. I can go get our 5 gram big wave jar, or I can go get a tsunami jar, our 15 gram jars. Like, you're not. And so I think that's sort of the avenue that we've decided to go, and it's working. And so we're going to keep pushing into it.
100%. Rosslyn's one of the first I suggest in terms of like the budget, friendly option, because it's just that, I don't see it almost anywhere else on the market, online market even, that is focusing on that. I mean, even coming out with a big wave in tsunami jars. Like you said, it's a little bit of a splurge, but in the long run, I think I saw the breakdown the other day. It's like $16 a gram or something like that.
Yeah. We just, and sometimes we'll have stuff that's just like one-offs. Like last night, I had the Waffle House. It was a one-off. Yeah. We dropped 3 of them. I posted it. They went in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, when there's stuff like that, we're really, and people could probably, to debunk what people are probably seeing on Reddit and stuff, I am community focused all the way. So there's a lot of people that don't like me and think that I'm like all about profit. I'm not. I'm actually far from that. I'm here for the long run. We believe that brand development is more important than the dollar, right?
Yeah,
we understand that, like, how do we create and build I always say that I want to be a countertop brand. And what I mean by that is I want people to discuss us openly in conversation and be like, I always make this joke, and sometimes people are like, yeah, that's not going to be the case. But like, you I don't know if you guys drink or whatever, but if you go into a bar and somebody orders a Tito's and soda, they don't really care if it's Tito's. They just want a vodka soda. Right. So the play has always been, well, why don't we create a brand that people go in and say, well, I want a gram of Rosslyn. And it's not really Rosslyn. They might not even carry Rosslyn, but their mindset is so used to that being said that that's what they said. And it creates this sort of wordplay. That's why I like how the name Rosslyn and rosin are so closely knitted, because it creates this unique wordplay psychologically where people are now going to associate Rosslyn with rosin, unified together.
Yeah, it's almost like it'll become like a Freudian slip.
Yeah,
it's like you're just so used to smoking rosin.
And that's
you go,
goal.
Yeah,
exactly. And especially for new consumers, right? People that have never had it, they're not going to have. They're just going to be like, I just know Rosslyn, right? And that's. I think any great brand, that's what you're shooting for. That's what you want to do, is create that sort of ease of flow when it's being discussed or talked about. And I think that takes time. It's taken us not that long. I mean, we launched in August of last year. We went through some kind of ups and downs. To be quite honest, and this is me just being real, I didn't realize how critical the THCA market was. I came in with full spectrum rosin, thinking that was going to kind of, meet the criteria, and quickly was I wrong. And we said, okay, well, we need to pivot and put out the, get our margins right where we can put out higher end stuff. And we figured that out and built that select, craft, and reserve tiers so that there's not a miscue of tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. I don't want to be compared to other brands. I want to create our own sort of, system of quality.
That way no one can call to, oh, well, this is like that tier. It's like, no, you have your own grading system.
Correct. Absolutely. That's exactly what we did. And we're bringing that same model. We're kind of doing it backwards. We're bringing that same model back into our rec brand as well, and sort of bringing back that tier system as well. Because what I've learned is there is being able to, I worked in the wine industry for a period of time. And if you look at restaurant menus, when you look at wine, there's your low tier, your mid tier, and your like high end. And 9 times out of 10, people always will choose that mid tier. So the craft wash is like your 90U. Yeah, it's maybe $10 more, but it's like that's where our sweet spot is. And then we kind of can sprinkle in the other two to sort of meet the expectation of the consumer.
And it's like you said, the accessibility comes from so many different angles, not only the price point, but then also, the ease of use with things like the Puffco. But calling back to the influencers, right? I think people need to see and understand that there are people, stay-at-home moms, people who work at the bank, people who fix your car, like people go home and they might smoke, and it's normal.
It's totally normal. And with Puffcos now, and with Cartas, and it's I talked to a gentleman the other day, really awesome guy. He's a skateboard dude. We're trying to get more into athletes because we want to apply this health and wellness aspect to consuming rosin, because it's a clean way of consumption, right? I mean, in my personal preference, it's the cleanest way of consumption without lighting up a joint or lighting flour, right? I love flour.
Yes.
I'll always love flour. There's something nostalgic about flour. But when you have kids running around, you can't sit there for 30 minutes milking a joint and getting the full experience. But it's like, hey, I can pack a nice little little dab in here, pull the e-rig out and rock and roll and move on with my day. And I think
that's how I start my day.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's changing the culture around the solventless space, which is really cool to watch.
I had a lot of people when I worked at Delta 8 Denton just use like their cup of coffee. And that's when it first got explained to me like that, like their cup of coffee. And quite frankly, nowadays I do the same thing. I take a nice little dab before work and get on with my day.
Yeah, I used to work super early in the morning. I'd go into like the Quick Trip or whatever, and people already would be buying like full sugar Monsters, all these energy drinks, eating croissants and this and that. I'm like, if people think that's normal, please don't look at me sideways if I take a little dab before noon. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, man. I'm 100% with you. And I function perftly fine.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I can get myself locked, right? I think all of us could. We could all be doing exactly what Trap is doing back there, ripping it hard. His day is going to be, it's 1:30 now. His day's probably going to be
it's already getting a little smoky in the day.
He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
He's like, it's Friday. It's
Good Friday. We're off.
Day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Good Friday.
But
it's good. It is. Oh, it is Good Friday. Oh, yeah.
That's the medical part of it too. You dose it. In the morning, you're not gonna take a fat glob to fucking ruin your brain. You're gonna.
But I think that also comes back to the education part of it too. I think there's a lot of things that people don't understand. They associate dabs with a lot of negative connotation. And what I love about Nicole and some of these, influencers we're working with is they're doing a really good job of getting people tiptoed into understanding really that micro dosing aspect of taking dabs.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's really unique, and that's what I want to expand more on in the next coming months on developing the Rosslyn brand is meaningful education.
Yeah.
Why is this one darker? It doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad product. It's just there's plant material that's left in it, and this is why it's a 73U, and understanding the microns in a way that you can kind of break it down into a kindergarten level of education where it's not like the scientific thing. Some of these guys, they just get too caught up in like trying to mansplain everything. And it's like, dude, nobody cares, man.
The hash heads with
what people want to know is it going to get them what they want, or are they going to feel the way they want to feel, right? And at the end of the day, there's so much misconception around what good rosin is and what it's not. I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, this is food grade. I'm like, you wouldn't even know what food grade looked like. Food grade is blacker than your shirt, dude. Like it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of things that just need to be taught. And for instance, good example, when people open a jar, when it comes in the mail, they're opening it up and they're going off the first judgment. It's soupy, it's runny. Well, yeah, no kidding. It's been in, transport for 3 days. You've got to let it solidify and let the terps come back together. And you've got to let it kind of preserve itself. And so there's these levels of education, just simplicity like that of how do you open the jar when it's being delivered to you. That's huge.
People get nervous to ask. It's like anything else. People get nervous to ask for help or to admit that they don't know something.
It's an ego thing, especially in this space, especially in the rosin space. Everybody knows everything. It's like, buddy, it's okay that you don't, but I'm going to tell you something. You're buying $25 rosin, you're going to get $25 rosin, right? It's just the way it goes. You want to buy $100 rosin? Yeah, it's going to be different. It's just the way, it's just like, it's the same thing in all industries. It doesn't matter, right? You can go buy Sutter House wine at 7-Eleven and it's exactly what it is. And I think there's a level of that education that needs to be brought to the mainstream market for sure.
For sure, man. Okay, so I want to give you an extra little introduction to the Doob Den and the stream. We actually had a redemption here on Twitch. So someone redeemed a bongo break, and something that was kind of confusing at the beginning is everyone thinks that we're going to smoke a bowl, which we can do, guys. But what that is, just a quick little jam sesh. So if anyone needs to use the bathroom, reload their bowl, reload their Puffco. Let's see. I always need a minute to find where I want to go with this.
Okay.
First official bongo break of April, everybody.
Happy April.
Happy April. Happy Good Friday. Are you loading up another dab? Feel free to use any of my goodies here. Hey, Katsu, appreciate the redemption. If you have any questions too, guys, please drop them in the chat. If they're appropriate, we'll read them. But yeah, I lost my train of thought, but I think my first experience with Rosslyn was when you guys were doing the gummies, and it was just pay shipping for the gummies. And then you did something similar for a puck.
The Sherbanger.
Yeah. I was like, what? I don't think I've ever. I can't remember the last time I saw a company give a deal for the product worth was that high.
Yeah.
For what you're actually paying.
Yeah, I think it's how do you want to, all business has a customer acquisition, right? It's what is that customer acquisition and how do you want to get to that, right? And I think for us, we're not able to, we don't have smell effect, I can't make you see and feel and taste a product that you don't have.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was we ran that just solely for a giveaway. And I liked the way that it came out. And I said, let's do this. And so, obviously it's got to be capped somewhere. We can't go crazy. But I think we got a lot of coverage with that.
Yeah. That's how I think we're able to tell each other. I'm sure you told that's how I got other people to recognize the brand. Because who's going to say no to a pack of gummies that you're really only paying $6 for,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's there's two things. There's the pros and cons of that, right? There's pros of it. You just have people who are always looking for free stuff, especially in this space.
Yes.
And so it's a level of trying to find a nice medium. And I think as we've matured and grown in the space, we've found groups like you guys who advocate for the brand genuinely and have a real genuine love for what we're doing. And then there's individuals who are just out there looking for a free product and they'll complain about it, whether or not it was free or not. And so And I think every brand deals with this, especially in this space where
yeah,
I think there's a miscued line where it's like not understanding that it's cannabis, but it's still a business and things still have to be taken care of and people still have to get paid for their work.
yes,
Just the way it goes.
absolutely. And I think, I'm trying to figure out the most tactful way to put this, but I think that's another thing that comes with time. Your approach to a brand that you'd like to collaborate with. I think it just comes with time of you're going to make some reach outs that you look back at and you're like, oh, did I mess that up forever? So it's as a brand being on the other side of those messages, what would you say is the best approach, right? Say I'm a micro influencer, 1,000 followers or less.
Yeah.
And I want to reach out to you. What do you think is the best way to even start that conversation?
I think the proof is in the pudding, right? Like if you send me a message and you've got like 100 followers and you don't have a post and you're not putting in any work, right? Like why would I invest in you if you're not investing in what you're pitching, right? Like you have to be, you got to make it a valuable ROI for the brand, right? If you have 100 followers and I see you're putting up stories and you're being, and you're liking things and you're being like in the community, I'm all about investing in that. But I'm not going to invest in people who, when they're just like got a photo, they don't, they have a blank profile and they're not posting anything. And it's like, I want to start being a reviewer. And it's like, okay, well, like, what value does that bring us as a brand?
Exactly.
To us. Like, it's not that I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be, rude and not respond, but it's like, we've got to get to a place where we're giving out, now we're on a bigger screen and there's a lot more people watching and there's a lot more influencers and people that are reaching out. Dabbing Granny just reached out to me yesterday and we sent her some stuff, right? I mean, she's got 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Like we're teeing up to people who are actually have a platform that build our brand up, which allow us to also it goes back to what I was saying earlier about that Lululemon structure. It's a pyramid, right? We've got our kind of lower tier influencers, we'll have our mid tiers, and then we've got like our Dabbing Granny, like higher tier individuals, and we put them in buckets of saying, okay, this fits this market, this fits this market, this fits this market, and how do we want to have that broken down?
Yeah.
And I think that just comes with time, but I think to answer your question, it's just be respectful, and two, just show that you're putting in work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you do it. I mean, look, man, you got your merch, you've got your studio, you put time and energy into what you're doing and you're passionate about it, and it shows.
Thank you.
A lot of these guys are guys or girls or, whomever, like, they're just reaching out to just get a free thing, and then you never see them post. They never do anything. And it's like, the cost of the puck's whatever, right? But I have to pay the shipping.
Yeah.
I've got to pay for the box it goes in. I've got to pay for the person that's doing it. So before you know it, there's a $50 investment into a free puck that I get $0 out of.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's important. Like I've told a couple people, I don't call myself a reviewer. I don't think that's fair.
Right.
I kind of just like smoke and whatever happens. That's why I like.
Well, you're an entertainment guy. Look at you. Your lane is to be an entertainment guy, and that works for you, and that's what you're excelling in. And so keep doing that.
That's why I think people I have a great support system with Trap House, and we're trying to build together even here locally, right? Like in Dallas. Next time you're in Dallas, I know there's not really much to do in Texas now, but next time you're out here, we've got a great community. I think people need to see more of, again, to call back to that whole tiered list, like everyday people. Like, it's not just a person that sits down in front of the camera and smokes. You know, it's a person that also works construction, and or a person that also is, something. I can't think of jobs that you won't get fired from. I can't say teacher, people who are just like other regular, nerdy dudes, like a dude who works at a catering company, like everyday people. I think it needs to be
it's everyday consumer.
A mechanic in the chat. Yeah, everyday people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a big part of it too is we are still, I always say this, every cannabis company all over the world, all over the United States, everybody's still in the dugout. right? No one is out to bat yet. Everybody's still a startup. Even the companies that failed, MedMen, all these, they were still, no one has figured out the correct structure and SOPs on how to build a cannabis company yet. Even the biggest players in the space could die out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason is because there is no standards put in place. They haven't been put there yet. And I hate to say this, and I'm not an advocate for it, but this is just me being honest. If you look at how the 90s were with big beer, and you look at, there were like 5 breweries that made every beer that existed, right? Like Sam Adams, Budweiser, Michelob, like there were very few, and they were all owned by these massive corporate companies. But what it allowed for was a foundation to be built so that microbreweries could stand off the top of that for the next 20, 30, 40, however long, many years there are. I mean, look how many small breweries there are now that didn't exist 20 years ago. It's going to be the same thing in the cannabis space. And I hate that, and it's terrible that that's going to be the case, but it's really the only way that I think you can see the market create some stability and actually be able to sustain. Because I'm going to be honest with you, being in the rec space, it's brutal. We're chasing money around, stores don't pay. There's no recourse if they don't pay. Like, you're getting pulled from transport fees and testing fees and all these different things. And so it's very hard to make money. And I know there's this idea that people in cannabis that own these businesses are making money. Yeah, there are, but there's not a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's few and far between. And they also could shutter their doors tomorrow because there's so many variables that cause, volatility. And it's going to take that infrastructure of large corporations to build the standards for the small mom and pops to come back and be like, oh, wow, I have something to stand on. And I think that could take a decade. I mean, that could take a long time. And, I'm here for the...
with alcohol.
Exactly. It's the same. I know I hate comparing the two, but they are very similar products because they both have the same sort of market share in the way that they are. One is way worse for you. Obviously, we know that. One's a poison that you're putting in your body. One is a medical product that we've known for centuries is good for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think that that's the way it has to go to be able to see real scalability in this space.
Yes.
And what that starts with is guys like yourselves building and feeding into that community and keeping it kind of grounded in the community in place, because it's withering away, to be honest.
Yes. I mean, even here, we're seeing it, the community aspect itself changing. Like you said,
because
a lot of
corporate companies are suing. They're suing. Yeah. That's the reason why THCA just got banned from Texas, is because the medical companies are saying, well, we're losing our ass, right? We're losing all of our money because nobody wants to come to our dispensary while they're selling distillate at $100 a syringe. Like, come on, get with the program. Like, this is you're out of touch, right? And so there's got to be a nice medium that we have to find that works for the consumer and then works for the business at the same time.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's just coming from an entrepreneur's perspective. That's just me as an entrepreneur being in this space for over a decade, what I've seen. And I've done it from the black market to the legal. I've done it all. And so I think it's all just a lot of blurred lines right now. And until they start creating hard lines in the sand, it's gonna be a tumultuous environment for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the blunt honesty is good, because to call back to people reaching out, I think a lot of people might just assume that, oh, you're with this brand that I'm seeing all over the place. What's a puck?
Yeah.
What's him sending a puck to me? That's probably nothing to them.
Yeah.
Where that's not the case. You have all these other things that you need to worry about, and you have plans like the things like the gummies, the pucks, like more organized things for the community that aren't just, hey, completely free, but I need to, we still are a business at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're a business. And also, I have things that I'm passionate about outside of cannabis too, right? Like I have a big heart for homelessness, and I want to be able to start finding ways that we can start combating homelessness in this country. I think it's a shame that we have people living on the street in this country. It doesn't make any sense. And so a big part of what I want to do and start implementing into our business is that sense of advocacy, where we could start building homes for homelessness and rehabilitation to get people back in a position where they feel part of society again and are able to kind of be brought back in. And I think that's where, at the end of the day, cannabis is just another industry and it's another business. It serves its purpose. It has value. It's different, right? There's a stigma that's drawn with it. I think it's so funny. I talk to people all the time and they're like, oh, you're in cannabis. And it's like kind of like I wouldn't say a joke, but they're like either like, wow, that's crazy, And it's like, is it really that crazy? I mean, like, if you go to a lab that we make this stuff in, it's no different than people are just sitting there pucking out jars. Like it's not that exciting, to be honest. Like people ask me for jobs all the time, and I was like, yeah, I mean, you want to sit there for 3 hours and puck out jars, be my guest, but it's not fun, right? I've done it a lot, and like I have no problem doing it, but it's like it's not as glamorous as it seems. And I think the reality of it is we haven't pulled back the veil on that. And there's not been enough. There's been a lot of podcasts talking about all the exciting stuff of cannabis, but nobody pulls back the veils of what it looks like to be actually in the trenches of this business and how it is from an entrepreneur who's plant touching, who's trying to build a brand, and the struggles that it is every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And we appreciate the honesty too, because we know people that are, I guess, for lack of a better term, and that's the way that they put it here, is they're all trapping, right? It's all trappers.
Yeah, of course.
And that's pretty much all we're going to have here in Texas for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
But fortunately for us, being in the community, and that's why we want to still do community outreach in different ways, 100%. Even if it's like serving the community. It's like we still want to be present in the community to show people at the end of the day, cannabis, and it's not just about like being stoned and stupid.
Yeah, we're not the couch stoner, the stigma that people think about.
Totally, 100%.
Yeah,
and I think it's it's slowly changing. I think it's going to take a little bit more time, and I think the laws are the people are way ahead of the laws. I mean, let's be real. Like I think that launching Rosslyn Direct really made me notice that. I think we've shipped to pretty much every single state. And like it's been incredible to see that happening. from a brand perspective, it's great because now people in Hawaii know about Rosslyn. It's like, wow, Puerto Rico. We have a bunch of people who order from Puerto Rico, and
imagine taking a dab on the beach in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so
the tsunami jar on the waves.
Right. And so there's a hash community everywhere, and the laws are so far behind where the market and the consumer are, and it's a shame because really you look at it from a government perspective and you're like, why wouldn't you just open up a new faucet of tax dollars? Why would you keep trying to shove more water through the same size hose? Makes no sense when you can just open up a new faucet.
Right, and when the majority is in favor. Like the majority has proven.
It's proven. I don't know how many more surveys CNN
right
to show this. Like, shit or get off the pot, right? Like, and that's where it just doesn't make any sense. But then again, it's a problem with big alcohol. They see that being a problem. They see these THCA beverages hitting the shelves and distributors buying them and selling them to liquor stores, and they're selling, they're moving.
Yeah,
and that's nerve-wracking, but get with times, right? People don't want to drink alcohol anymore. They know the negative connotations around alcohol, and they don't want to be a part of it. Especially the Generation Z, right? I'm a millennial. The generation underneath me, alcohol's not a thing for them. They're like, I'd rather just smoke weed. It's just the way it goes. Or even mushrooms. Yeah. I mean, mushrooms you're going to see a big move in mushrooms over the next few years too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a pack. The box that's open over there, I have like this brand sent me just like 12 packs of mushroom gummies, and I haven't seen so many different options for mushrooms. There's mushroom drinks, like seltzers, juices. Everything. So I know the beverage game and the edible game. I don't know what they're probably going to get pretty creative. A friend of ours was saying there's probably going to be like baking flours and just like panko coating, like everything you can think of.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all possible, right? Like amber sand. Yeah. I was just watching a video on how to make amber sand, and which is big right now in with.
I've been wanting to try that. That stuff looks crazy.
Yeah, and so I was looking at it, what that process looks like to be able to bring that into our SKUs, and so that might be something we bring in, and it's an edible solventless product.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this.
It's like a edible dab, basically. It hits you real fast.
Okay.
It's basically like if you ate isolate, right? And so you're basically, but it's not, right? You're basically adding decarb rosin to this amber sand. I don't even really know what it is. It's like a powdered form, like edible product. I couldn't tell you, and I don't want to say incorrectly. I'm still just now getting some research into it. But I think the application of cannabis is going to change very drastically. I think things are going to change. The way we consume will change. I think the split between medicinal and recreational is going to take a really hard change, especially if insurance companies start covering medical cannabis. It's going to change everything overnight. And so I think about these things. People think I'm crazy, but I have to think about what does my career look like and what am I looking at for the next 5 to 10 years of being in this space.
There's a whole nother layer of thought that has to go into, like, when you're an entrepreneur on that level with the product, I wouldn't call it crazy to think ahead like that at all.
No, and I think for us, we understand that the direct-to-consumer market is the future. I mean, if you look at direct-to-consumer in any space, no one goes and buys through Macy's or Dillard's or any of these stores anymore. They sell direct-to-consumer clothing. They sell direct-to-consumer all the products. And I think cannabis will fall in line with that. The only reason that alcohol doesn't do that is because of laws that were implemented, 50 years ago, allowing that it has to go through a distributor. But I think that with cannabis, we have a way of creating that direct-to-consumer relationship, which in turn will help the business expand. You go to Michigan and there's a dispensary on every corner. That's not viable. That's not sustainable. You can't have a dispensary on every corner and it not be a race to the bottom in every single way possible, right? And there has to be infrastructure put in on prices of flower. Flower has to stay stabilized. There can't be this up and ebb and flow between California and New Jersey and New York, and it has to stay across the board. But I think when you look at it, it'll all change when the walls go down between interstate commerce. When I can buy I can buy fresh frozen from California and then be able to ship that fresh frozen in a freezer truck to Missouri, where the cost of operations is a quarter of what it costs to do in California, then that'll change the whole direction of the industry will change.
Man.
And it's just the way it goes, right? So there's some strains that grow really well in certain places. Like we'll find that, I'm sure in Texas, hazes and things that grow really well in Florida and high humidity and high temps. Things that are more sativa focused will grow really well in Texas. There's a lot of farmland out there, so I can imagine it's just going to thrive with a lot of sativa plants when that time comes. And we know that in the Pacific Northwest, you get really nice, fat, juicy indica OG Kushes right off the coast. Like we know that they're appellations of regions in the United States where cannabis is going to certain strains are going to thrive over other ones.
Yeah.
And that'll change the entire industry in itself too.
And also just like a PSA for anyone that's watching, right? I mentioned earlier, we know some people that know growers, and I kind of feel still like safe in a sense.
Yeah.
As far as where I'm going to get my product. But if you do not feel that way and you like hash,
check us out.
Direct.
Yeah, check us out. We're not changing any of our shipping rules. We're getting asked a lot. The federal law is the same, right? November is going to come around. Something might change, but we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And, I said this when I got rated back in 2022. I pioneered it. I wanted to be a pioneer, and that's what we're doing again, and we want to keep pushing forward. There's not a lot of good THCA rosin brands that are truly building a brand. There's a lot of them. I see a lot of guys.
Yes.
Trapping THCA, right? However you want to call it. And they're just putting little like stickers on stuff. But we're really trying to establish ourselves in this space.
Yes.
And with that comes, a little bit of risk. And I think, my saying's always been, without risk, there's no reward. So I'm going to play the game as hard as we can.
And I'd rather have an outlet that I know it's going to be consistent. Whereas in some of these other situations here in person, whatever's in there with that sticker, that could be anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That your white label, like even though we do have local options, as far as budget goes, sometimes especially for the bigger jars, it's still better.
I think so. Sometimes, most of the time, rosin's cheaper than anything I can get out here.
Yeah, especially right now. As I literally 2 days ago, I was looking to pick up, and y'all's prices are officially better as of my closest pickup.
Yeah. I try to keep it, as competitive as possible. And then, obviously we're constantly putting up sales and doing stuff, and we just launched a new VIP program. So as you spend more, you'll get invited into like the Rising and the Abyss and the Current, and then like the biggest is like the Trench, and it's all obviously ocean related, and it's like water related, and it automatically will give you that 2.5% off or that 5% off, and so every time you order, you feel like you're getting rewarded for sticking with us and riding the wave. No pun intended.
Yeah. Hey, and everyone loves a little point system. You want to take $1 off? Yeah.
Just a loyalty thing,
Yeah, and I think we're looking at other ways of doing unique things and partnerships. Yeah. I've got some stuff getting ready to drop with a couple glass artists, and we're going to be doing some stuff like that, and sort of expand outward and not just being like, oh, let's do stuff with Puffco, which Puffco, by the way, they won't partner with anybody. Like they're really not cool about like partnering with rosin brands. And so a lot of my business is not going to be going to them anymore, because I don't think they're, and I might get some hate for this, whatever, but like I don't think Puffco has it in the interest of the community. I think Puffco is a money hog, and they just take. And I can't wait till somebody. I think Carta's a great brand. It's also owned by the same guys that own Rosin Tech, so they're in the space. So they're understanding of what rosin is, and they're hands on. But I think we're trying to be more. How do we get involved with other businesses and entrepreneurs fighting for shelf space and wanting to leverage each other's platforms to build each other.
Yeah, that, and the community aspect is everything. Like, just
100%.
Just how can we help build each other? We're already in the same community, going to the same events, filming the same kind of content, and we know that we can do that with other people too. And that's the 100%. Exact approach that I'm like, I hear that and I'm like, see, we knew we liked these people. It's like, how can we help each other?
Yeah, and I think that's why the Reddit community makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you guys don't practice what you preach, because you're all about community and what's best for the rosin community. But then the first brand that comes that you're not getting paid by or getting free samples from, you're pissed. It's like, does that really even make any sense?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if you started a business and your friend, you started a barbershop and your buddy's like, I'm not coming in to get my haircut by you or whatever. And it's like, bro, I'm your friend. Like, come support the business. Like, he's like, no, not if I don't get it for free. And it's like, right, bro, like, that's not supporting your business. It's like, you should be wanting to haircuts. You should bring your whole family here, right? And price, because you want to see, I want to see you guys be successful. And I want to see other brands be successful. Like, I put out a thing the other day on Twitter, like, why don't we do a bracket? Right, a THCA rosin bracket, and all these brands, Crisp and Chase and all these brands come together, and let's just send out some judge boxes to some people. And I just couldn't get anybody to jump on it, and I was like, this is crazy. Why are we competing against each other? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
That's what some platforms, I know that the more platforms you're on, the more opportunity for reach there is, yada yada, fine, it's fair, but I'm not going to put my time and energy into a platform if it's just going to be draining and full of hate and it's like, I'm not going to post on Reddit anymore then.
100%.
Or like, maybe I'm not going to post so much on X because no one wants to support. It's just immediate.
It's just hate. Nobody wants to be around haters, man. We're trying to be in a positive space, and like, it's like, you don't like it. I had a guy the other day. He's like, I don't like your product. I said, you don't have to support our product. That's fine. You have free will. You can go out and do whatever you want.
Right?
Like, I'm not mad at you. Like, thanks for the business that you've given us prior, jar it threw you off. Like, I'm also very giving. Like, if you come to us and you're like, hey, I wasn't happy with the product, I typically have to, unless it's like a repeat offender, I typically am like, all right, we'll send you another one. You know, and that's just the way that our policy is. I treat it like the Nordstrom model, where it's like, if you didn't like something, bring it back and we'll replace it, or we'll give you store credit or whatever.
It's like, but it can't be the situation of like you're at a restaurant and the plate is clean and you're like, I didn't like it.
That's what you run into a lot, man. And that's why we had to really adjust our return policy, and we don't take any returns, but like, we're not gonna bring back have you ship back a gram of rosin. That just doesn't make any sense. But it's like, we're not gonna refund you because you didn't like it. Like, I put on there, I'm like, our refund policy doesn't go on personal preference. There's been many a times where I have bought strains that I did not like from dispensaries, and I do not go back and say, well, these pre-rolls were terrible, but I smoked 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And that's not an abnormal policy. That's not abnormal at all. It's like,
you go to a grocery store and you buy a new bag of chips that you never tried and you don't like them, you take them back to the grocery store?
Right.
No, you just say, I'm not going to order those again.
You're like, oh, I didn't like that. Well, lesson learned.
The problem is you'll know when people do it, because they'll buy like $200 worth of product. I'm like, dude, you're a first-time customer. You never tried our product before. Why would you buy $200 worth of product you never tried before? And then I know your game. I'm not dumb, right? Yeah. And so that's a lot of what we deal with in the online space. Because when you're in the when I ran my delivery service, I didn't have those problems. But that was because you were face to face with somebody. You had to actually engage that was face to face. And people it's easy to be a keyboard warrior, right?
And oh man, even more so now with freaking Chat GPT.
Oh yeah, they can write the whole
catalog.
Yeah, they can write the perfect, complaint, and it sounds so good. So
perfect punctuation, not a single typo.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, they're like a professional administrative assistant out of nowhere. Like. But no, man, I'm sure you've seen it all, dude.
I mean, dude, and it's also been a blessing. I don't want to make it all sound like it's been incredible, man. We've built some awesome relationships. We've done some really cool stuff. We've gotten to share some really cool stories with our Discord channel is awesome. We've built a really cool community in that itself. The inner circle. If you're not in that, I highly recommend being a part of it, because you get first access to the product that's being bought by the community with real feedback that they're giving. I'm pretty active in there. There's sometimes I have to take a step back just because I'm too active. Oh yeah. So actually, somebody just messaged this. The craft and the reserve is just small batch, right? We're doing it with collabs with certain grows. Like, we've got one that's getting ready to drop with a Heritage, very small, like only 28 grams that are going out.
Oh.
Like, that's what that is. That's why you don't see it all the time. The reserves are more like they're the highest tier, but they're also the smallest batch sizes. To sort of break down how rosin works, I could buy 500 pounds of rosin or fresh frozen, and I wash that, and I could only get 2% of that, and it may be the best 2%. The rosin might be phenomenal, but it washed 2%, right? And so that's what dictates a little bit higher of a price point, but it also dictates a smaller batch size, so it costs more to test it. It costs more to, it's all these added costs on a very small batch, so that's what equates to a little bit higher. Craft, like I say, is our 90U, but a larger batch size, more of our kind of consistent, we're doing them in batches of like 150 to 200 grams at a time, typically. And then our Select is our mixed micron. So we don't do anything at 43. We do everything at like 73. Some of it's 90. We'll blend those two to kind of stretch it out. But most of it's like 73U, if the color's right. And, I like to explain to people 73U means it's a bigger micron bag. So you're getting more plant matter through, which means oxidization is higher. So yes, it does oxidize and change colors a little bit more before it's even pressed. And then once you press it, it oxidizes even more. So what happens is you're changing the temperature of the product. So it's coming out of a press and it's going into a cool room. So immediately the temperature change causes that oxidation to happen a lot faster. And then when you put it in the cure and you put it under airtight mason jar, all of that kind of starts curing up. The terps pull themselves away and you've got a nice layer of terps on top. And then when we re-whip it, right? It might be light colored in the mason jar, but when we re-whip it, you're re-whipping those terps back into it, which then give it that color that the terps are. So if the terps tend to be darker, they're going to be, the rosin itself is going to be a little darker. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just simply, that's just the color of the plant matter. It's also when the farm took it down. The farm takes it down a week later than they should, it's going to be a little bit darker. If they take it down a week earlier, sometimes it's lighter, but it doesn't have as much oomph to it. And so those are the kind of the little details in the fabric that people quite honestly aren't aware of, and that we're trying to sort of bring to the table.
I mean, I wasn't. I was I was in school. They took me to school just then.
For real.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we see it all the time, man. Like, listen, at the end of the day, a lot of the material we wash, and this is me just being honest, is outdoor and greenhouse. Indoor material is very expensive. It doesn't always wash great. It's more designed to grow, to be good bag appeal. I'm not saying indoor's bad. We've washed a lot of indoor material in my time of being in the rosin space. And that's kind of what leans more to our reserve, because you can kind of control the environment of the plant. But dude, some terps that grow under the sun, they're just the best, man. They just have the most flavor. And I think that, to me, is where people get miscued. They're like, oh, well, this is outdoor. I don't want it. And it's like, you couldn't tell the difference in the color if you put them next to each other. You're just reading into the things that you don't have the knowledge for. And that's where I think we're looking at, like, how do we create series of educational videos that start walking people through this, over and over again. It's like, this is what this does, and this is how this looks. And so that's, I think, our next big kind of move, is becoming more of an education platform at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be awesome.
That's what people really.
Absolutely. I know that's what I need.
I was on Facebook Marketplace, and somebody was looking for like dab, and they said looking for rosin, no THCA. I'm like, okay, that just show. Next.
He said, no, thank you. Yeah, like, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought again, bro. I'm packing this bowl, and I already forgot what I was gonna say.
So people need to be educated for sure.
Oh, yes. Okay. I got it. Came back. The video that I had reposted from y'all where the rosin was literally being washed, right? Like, even stuff like that with a voiceover, if someone was just say, hey, so what I'm doing right now, blah, 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 like, because I'm watching that, I'm like, this looks insanely cool. And I love seeing the process. I've never been able to visit a farm or like any sort of labs or anything. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, this is cool, but I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people don't understand. I talk to guys that, are like, I'm going to go press my own rosin. And I'm like, good luck. I mean, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm all for you doing it, but I think you don't realize it's what real live hash rosin is not what you're going to get when you put cured flour that you've had sitting in a bag under a press. It's just not the way it is.
Right.
There is some scientific stuff to it. VacTech is a big thing that we're looking at right now. When we fill those micron bags to press them, we grease them, right? So you put them on the hot plates, and we let them kind of grease up before we even start pressing. So it pulls everything out, because if you push it too fast, you risk a blowout, which loses all of the bubble hash that's in it. You risk burning it because it's going down too fast, or you risk not getting it evenly distributed so it pushes out. So what VacTech is you're basically taking those bags and you're vacuum sealing them, throwing them back in the freezer for 24 hours, and that pressure that they're under in the vacuum seal causes them to grease themselves out with no heat. Preserves the terpenes, but it allows for when the product to come out, it comes out crystal clear, right? It'll still have the hue, the color that it wants, but it won't have the spots of the terps in it, because it basically pulled all of them out through the process of not using heat, but out of vacuum and cold to kind of consolidate them. I'm still learning about it myself, and we've been trialing it, and it makes good hash. I will have to say, very clean, consistently stable hash. And so there's a lot of stuff. I mean, I just talked to some guys the other day. We're looking at buying a centrifuge that spins the terps so that we can use separate the terps from our rosin and put the terps alone in vapes, you know, and leave the rosin material out. And, you know, there's a lot of new stuff that's changing all the time. And I'm not even the ops guy. My ops guys know a lot more about it than I do, but I try to, you know enough where I can talk about it in a room.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's where I want to get to as well. Like, not only with law, like local cannabis, I want people to be able to ask me like, what's the deal in Texas right now? What can I do? What can I not? And I can confidently explain it. Same thing with hash, right? If I'm going to be here smoking it, and talk, like showing it off, talking about it, I want to be able to talk about it confidently. So I think what y'all are doing already and the plan to even make it more educational is perfect. I'm going to be even more locked in.
Yeah, and I think like I said, Nicole, the young lady that we brought on, you know, she's great. Her content's really good. She's got a lot of, you know, reach on our platform. So we were like, hey, would you want to be the face of the brand in this education sector? And she's like, absolutely. And so I think she's going to be helping us kind of put that together. And then, you know, for instance, we started adding live resin to the website, and you know, our live resin it's not CRC, but it's not super high grade live resin either. It's $6 a gram, right? We're trying to be competitive in that space, but we get a lot of people who are like, oh, it's, you know, it's doesn't have a lot of smell, it's muted, or it's not this and this, and they're like judging it right off of the back of opening the jar up. And it's like, well, you need to let it, like, think about it like this. Like, if you opened up a bottle of wine, right, that's been sitting on the shelves for a period of time, that's, you know, wine's a little bit different because it's a lot longer of a period of time. If you had a bottle that was sitting on the shelves for 5 years, you open it up, you want to decant it, let it breathe, and bring life back to it. Well, when we put a jar in an airplane that has no pressure, it's pulling all the pressure out of it. So when you open the jar back up, you have to let it kind of breathe itself and aerate it to get the true effects out of it. And so we're looking at creating some content around just when you order, you'll get email videos that show, hey, how to preserve your stuff, how to open it, how to get the best experience out of it, and creating a series that just create education.
That's perfect. Because I know when I started smoking dabs, especially, I didn't think about anything. I just grabbed what was there and what was cheap, and just knowing what goes into it, at the very least, I think shows people the thought, like, hey, some people do not even care what's going in this cup, let alone can explain to you how it got there.
Yeah, they don't understand. And then people are like, well, you added like Delta 8 into it, or your test result says Delta 8. Delta 8 can naturally convert inside a product, right? When you add heat to it, it's called an isomerization. And what happens is the THC converts to a form of Delta 8, right? Very small increments, not a lot, but it can naturally convert in the plant matter when you're adding heat to it. So it's not us implementing. I'll say this, and I stand firm on this. We add no additives to anything we do. The only thing we add an additive to is our distillate pens that we have online, and we do an 8% terp split on that. So 8% of fruit terps go into that. That is pretty standard. Some guys do 12%, but we like to keep that flavor of the cannabis there. But nothing we do has any additives added to it. It's all the cleanest form that we could possibly get our hands on. And, you know, just kind of giving people the understanding of, no, I understand what the COA says, but this is the reason why that says that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I did have one last question for you, because we don't want to keep you too long. But if there were one strain from Rosslyn that they're like, this is the only one you can smoke for the rest of eternity, what are you choosing?
So, like the Donnie Burger that we have right now, but I'm a huge fan of the Miraculous that we kind of keep bringing out, and then the papaya, the Poochie papaya, which we're about to drop again, that we've had, is super good. I like fruity stuff.
Yeah, I heard that too. I was like,
and we have the Moroccan peaches now. I like more fruitier terps. I think it's funny because I when I smoke flower, I don't. But then, sometimes I like some funk too, like a good GMO. You can never go wrong with. I actually was talking to my team about the other day about, like the Donnie Burger, Hash Burger, some of these like crosses of GMO. I was like, why can't we just get regular GMO? And it's kind of hard to find right now. GMO just is every cross with so many things. But to kind of end on this note, we have about 20 clones that we just put into a grow to do all of our own single source. So it'll be genetics that nobody else has.
Okay.
Oh.
So we got some like pineapples Cerritos. We have some rainbow kernel, which we have now, but it'll be rainbow kernel number 3. So it'll be some different stuff that we've got coming out that are not being seen on other menus. And we're going to put those across all of our brands. So New Jersey, Michigan, Minnesota, when that time comes, we're going to have a level single source that'll be across the board.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
I'm going to get you guys some shirts. Some of your sizes. I'm going to send you some
Hey,
swag.
please do.
Ooh, okay.
Absolutely. We'll be
Thank
wearing
you so
those.
much.
Yeah. Thank you for your
Yeah, of
on
course.
the
I got
street.
hats too. We got all kinds of gear. It's funny. People are like, how do you have so much gear? I'm like, I don't print any of it. We just use a print as you go service. It's just been easier for us because everybody's different sizes and different, they want different colors and just too much of a cost for us to carry all of the different stuff that people want.
Yeah,
so it's
100%.
like, I'll just get your sizes and I'll send you guys a box of goodies.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, thank you, Trap House, for coming out and
Absolutely.
helping me
Thanks
out
for
with
having me
everything
here, man.
and rocking your bucket. I didn't
Yes,
have to
sir.
ask.
The custom bucket, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like the bucket.
I was gonna
It's a nice
say,
touch.
Might
I don't
get you
know.
one.
I don't know if it's your style. Even if it's just something you put up on the shelf, we can hook you up.
Yeah, send me one, man. I'll rock
Let's
one
do
all the
it.
time.
Let's do
Summer's
it.
coming around.
That's what I'm
dude.
saying.
So, absolutely. And like I said, I don't know when I'm going to be in Texas next, but it's got to be soon. So,
Well, we'd love to see you in person, man.
Yes.
We can definitely plan something up if you ever
yeah. When I'm down there, we'll make it happen. I think we're looking at. Actually, it's funny. I was working with a group that was going to be. I don't remember the store name right now, but there was a store in Dallas that wanted to pick us up. And then all this stuff changed, and now we're not being sold in stores.
I wonder what it was. We'll have to message you later.
I'll look at it. Yeah, I'll look it up.
I'm curious,
We'll
but
go from there.
might even have you come out to the den, see all the SpongeBob
Yeah,
craziness.
absolutely. That'd be fun. SpongeBob craziness. I love
it, man.
But yeah, gentlemen, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and I'm thanks for letting me drop some knowledge and yeah.
Like you said, people need to be educated. It's so necessary. So I'm glad to see the incentive and y'all aiming to do that.
Yes.
Educate people.
That's our goal, man. We're like I said, I always say it's approachable hash. I'm not trying to be untouchable. Like I want to be discussed in normal conversation about, hey, I need something that's going to put me out. Rosslyn is a good recommendation
Absolutely.
for that. That's what I want the conversation to be.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you back maybe next month or like once every couple months. Just
let me know.
Touch base and
we'll talk about more lighthearted stuff. Not so serious in the business.
Hey,
I just want people to understand where the brand's at and where we are and what we're trying to do that differentiates us than some of these other guys.
It's important. It's important, man. Like there's maybe 1 or 2 brands, including Rosslyn, that actively has engaged in my chat while I've been live.
Absolutely. Yep.
That was crazy to me that day. I was like, for us, hanging out with us in our stream, that's pretty sick.
I mean, dude, I'm just a guy doing something, trying to make something cool, man.
Or we'll do it again then, for sure.
We've got a small team, and we're looking to expand over the next couple of years, and and we'll just keep chugging along. That's where we're at.
We're excited to see where y'all go next, definitely.
For sure.
Thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful week.
Back at you. We'll talk to you soon.
Happy Easter, guys.
Talk soon.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
All right.
That was awesome.
I didn't end it yet, just so you.
Yeah,
but that was awesome. Really good conversation. I got learnt. I got educated.
Super educated. That's what I will say it over and over again. That's what people need.
Yeah.
Because I still see, even to this day, people are like, No THCA. That guy again.
I don't want none of that THCA stuff.
What do you mean?
Like, yes, you do.
Have you been around recently? Have you read the internet recently?
Like, and that's why I think I meant to say this earlier, but there's a lot of terminology. Like, I think we all have an idea of like, oh, that's flower rosin, or that's like we know the words and the letters and the phrases, but we can't really explain. A lot of us can't. I can't. Yeah. Like, if someone asked me what's 90 IU, I'd be like, bitch, what?
I guarantee you there's only a select few people that sell it. Like,
yeah.
Even, that really care about what they're selling.
And as a consumer, I want to be able to go to a place, right? Like, unfortunately, we can't do this anymore in Texas, but I want to be able to go into a place and they can explain that to me. Whereas there are some smoke shops where you walk in and none of them even smoke. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever you're going to tell me, I'm not really listening because you don't smoke and you're not really invested in the products or anything. But we know the product, we've tried it, and to know that like someone who's one of the main heads of it is so invested in the community. Yes. Very cool.
It's kind of relieving.
Yeah. Yep.
It's definitely like we can go to people that know.
Yeah.
You know people that know.
Well, I guess we can keep smoking, but I'm gonna call it here.
Oh yeah, okay.
Appreciate everyone in the chat. We had a couple new YouTube comments today, new viewers.
Yeah, I can't see the YouTube side of everything. Okay, I see them on each of them. Okay.
Yeah, so we've got the little red. When you see the little red over here, that's all YouTube. Nice. Massive shout out to y'all.
Absolutely. Hopefully, whoever watches this back too can drop in and get educated.
Yeah.
It's important.
Pick up some Rosslyn.
It's so important. I was just talking to somebody the other day about how shops around are like, we'll still have THC pre-rolls, dabs, flower. Don't touch that shit. Don't touch that shit.
Do not, please. This is your PSA, your Doob and Trap House PSA. Don't buy anything that's THCP.
Or otherwise.
Please.
I mean, quite frankly, it's just... Ask us.
Yes.
If you're around here, ask us. If you're around anywhere else, ask us. Like we just talked with a great brand to do so. If you don't have the capability for dabs, there's more brands out there that do flower.
Or even portable dabs now. Like you can only do like the half gram that's in it. You know, like the little spaceship looking shit.
Yeah, there's those. There's a little something for everybody. But if you're not a dabber, there's places to get reputable flowers. So if you're not, either of those, a smoker in general. Rosslyn has edibles, and there's a lot of other edibles out there as well.
That's true.
So don't settle for less than something like we said something you're putting in your body, something quality you're putting in your body, something that you know what it is.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go back to 2021 with all this HHC Delta.
Oh my gosh, the amount of HHC I ingested in 2021.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
about. Sure, we don't know any different. But then we got educated, so we're trying to set everybody up to do this.
And if you're in Texas, we can't go buy local, which I hate saying that because that's how I started everything. Like Wyatt Perp, CBD Farmhouse, like local Oak Cliff cultivators, like. And now I can support them with edibles and stuff, but like rosin now you can order it to you in Texas, but you can't go out to any of your favorite shops and buy flower or rosin or anything smokable from them. So please be safe where you shop. You can still have things shipped to you. If you're looking for reputable brands, we just spoke with one. But if you need some more, please message us and just think before you buy and be careful what you put in your body, please.
Absolutely. Y'all gotta be safe out there.
Y'all be safe out there in them streets now.
Be safe out there.
Peace.
Get you in the next one.